10 stark realities that hit hard when revisiting Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Trilogy. Imagine reliving a cinematic masterpiece only to spot flaws that now scream louder than ever. Welcome to the bittersweet journey of rewatching Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Trilogy. Image via Warner Brothers, courtesy Everett Collection. Sign into your CBR account. Christopher Nolan's Batman films, cbr.com/Dagman, have forever transformed how audiences and directors view superhero blockbusters. Nowadays, diving back into these three movies resembles tracing Nolan's own creative evolution. Each film builds on the last with increasing boldness. Batman Begins rescued Gotham from the shadows of Joel Schumacher's over-the-top interpretations, setting a serious tone after years of cinematic neglect. The Dark Knight amplified that triumph, morphing into a cultural juggernaut that earned Heath Ledger a well-deserved posthumous Oscar. The Dark Knight Rises concludes the epic with sweeping scale, boasting massive crowds of extras and real-world filming locations. Collectively, they've grossed over $2.4 billion globally and shaped countless big studio action hits in their wake. Yet, time hasn't treated Nolan's saga with unwavering kindness. Fast forward 2 decades, and some imperfections emerge from the mid-2000s hype. Choices that once seemed daring, even rebellious, now appear as constraints. The trilogy's unyielding dark tone can feel exhausting today, especially amid the flood of gritty reboots it inspired. Nolan's dedication to realistic storytelling delivered thrilling sequences, but sidelined many beloved Batman tropes that fans cherish. The Dark Knight Trilogy's fight choreography hasn't aged well at all. Christopher Nolan's work on Batman and Beyond, https://Dark Knight Trilogy Failed Batman That's Okay, showcases his genius for crafting immersive atmospheres and grounding epic dialogues in reality. However, close-quarters combat isn't his strong suit. Ironically, it was all the buzz back then. Critics and viewers alike praised how thrilling the fight scenes in the Dark Knight Trilogy. https://Dark Knight Trilogy Failed Batman That's Okay. www.cbr.com/tag/The Dark Knight Trilogy looked. The shaky camera work was hailed as innovative, but in hindsight, it often results in chaotic, fleeting moments that are hard to follow. To put it plainly, this isn't about criticizing the team. With modern, if the budget didn't allow for elaborate action sequences or if directing fights wasn't their specialty, why not frame it through the eyes of a frantic bat? By The Dark Knight Rises, expectations had risen, pun intended. The film, drawing inspiration from classics like Ben-Hur and A Tale of Two Cities, and featuring Tom Hardy's intense Bane, offered some improvements. Still, it doesn't fully redeem what now resembles the sloppy energy of a Jason Bourne knockoff. The Dark Knight didn't deliver the Two-Face fans dreamed of, courtesy of Warner Brothers Discovery. The Dark Knight is etched in memory for Heath Ledger's iconic Joker. https://cbr.com/Joker Most Evil Batman Villain. It also boasts the finest live-action Two-Face yet, with Aaron Eckhart's portrayal of Harvey Dent, Gotham's dedicated assistant district attorney, masterfully handled by writers Christopher and Jonathan Nolan, alongside David S. Goyer. For much of its hefty 152-minute length, this version of Harvey's spiral into Two-Face feels like the faithful adaptation fans had longed for since Tommy Lee Jones's underwhelming take in Batman Forever. But here's where it gets controversial. Nolan's most puzzling decision in The Dark Knight kills off Two-Face right at the end. That exhilarating build-up to a true Harvey to Two-Face transformation, brutally snatched away, all crammed into a mere day or two. Fans fervently hoped during The Dark Knight Rises development that Two-Face, seen plummeting from a rooftop into an abyss, might have cheated death. Eckhart dashed those dreams in a 2008 Ain't It Cool interview, bluntly stating, "Not a chance. No, I'm dead. I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. Hey, Chris, Nolan, am I? No. You're dead. You're dead. Addressing the elephant cat in the room, Anne Hathaway's Selina Kyle rocks. Movie stills DB. Now, for a refreshing twist on harsh realities in the Dark Knight Trilogy, let's tackle a misconception. The naysayers are dead wrong about Anne Hathaway's Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman. Pre-release criticism of Hathaway stemmed from her background in musical theater roles, reminiscent of hits like The Princess Diaries and The Devil Wears Prada. It echoed the initial doubts about Heath Ledger playing the Joker after Brokeback Mountain. But here's the part most people miss. That very background was perfect for Hathaway's Catwoman. Her theatrical flair brought a lively, sophisticated charm to the Batman villains lineup. https://Batman villains/reflect Bruce Wayne's personality traits. Ledger proved critics wrong, with a performance many call the greatest villain role ever. Similarly, rewatching The Dark Knight Rises reveals Hathaway's Catwoman as the strongest female character and performance in Nolan's Batman series. She effortlessly shifts from elegant socialite to cunning thief with graceful poise that's unmistakably Hathaway's. Unlike Rachel Dawes, who was relegated to damsel roles before being killed off, or Talia al Ghul as a mere plot device, Selina stands as a genuine force, a counterpoint to Christian Bale's brooding Batman. Zoe Kravitz took over in Matt Reeves' The Batman, delivering a take inspired by Batman Year One and Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale's comics, in what many deem a superior film. For Hathaway's fans, the real sting is that she might never get the recognition she deserves, overshadowed as she is today. Christian Bale's Batman voice turned into a punchline, for good reason courtesy of Warner Brothers Discovery. Christian Bale's Batman growl, https://www.cbr.com/Batman actors, sparked countless memes and even launched careers. Comedian P. Holmes, now a podcast powerhouse, rose to fame mocking it in viral YouTube sketches. In retrospect, it's obvious why it was ripe for satire. Bale sounds like he's gargling rocks with every word. It fits Batman Begins, where it's sparingly used, a disguise for Bruce Wayne's voice and a tool to intimidate foes in high-stakes scenes. But by The Dark Knight, when Batman engages in heartfelt talks while hiding his identity, the voice veers into meme-worthy territory. And this is the part most people miss. It peaks in The Dark Knight Rises, clashing awkwardly with Bane's muffled speech through his mask. Nolan has faced audio quirks in films like Tenet and Inception, but this one seems especially preventable. Bale explained in an MTV chat, "The voice ain't for everybody. It was the only way that I could find how to get into that and to justify wearing the fricking batsuit. Otherwise, he's just loopy beyond belief. He's loopy." But he's loopy with a method to his madness. Take Batman's line in The Dark Knight about Harvey being the first legitimate ray of light Gotham has seen in decades, delivered in full gravelly rasp. It feels utterly absurd. The Dark Knight Rises collapses under plot holes. The Dark Knight was hailed as an instant classic. Its successor, The Dark Knight Rises, faced an uphill battle. It wasn't a total flop, but the grand conclusion falters with glaring plot gaps and omitted details, especially given its 164-minute duration. Ideally, that runtime should allow time to address puzzles like, how exactly does Bruce Wayne escape the pit prison back to Gotham? What's the logic behind Gotham's police force hiding underground, abandoning the city above? Why doesn't the government deem Bane's financial schemes as outright criminal? In isolation, you might brush them off, but together, they become almost unforgivable. The excessive drama could have been trimmed to include more explanatory scenes. https://www. Christopher Nolan, Batman Trilogy perfect scenes that clarify these baffling moments. The Dark Knight Trilogy is actually about Alfred, courtesy of Warner Brothers Discovery. Each film in the Dark Knight Trilogy explores a distinct genre, striving for independence while weaving common threads. Batman's growth as an icon, the League of Shadows' influence, and Gotham's deep-seated corruption. Naturally, you'd assume Batman anchors the story, but it's Michael Caine's Alfred who provides the most consistent emotional arc. As David S. Goyer recalled in a 2025 interview with Brandon Davis, "That was the first idea, and then we knew we had a movie." Alfred is his proxy father. He's worried that Bruce sees no way out of this other than suicide by Batman, death by Batman, right? And then he's at this moment, and he sees this nod, and he realizes Bruce got out. And we thought, oh, that's a story worth telling. I didn't know what the story would be. Alfred acts as Bruce's childhood guardian, https://www.batmanbestalfred.variants, and as an adult, his steadfast protector with quiet, profound loyalty. When Bruce withdraws completely in The Dark Knight Rises, it hits hard because of Alfred's visible heartbreak. But here's where it gets controversial. Realizing Alfred, not Batman, is the trilogy's heart might hurt. Yet that's exactly what Nolan intended. That revelation forces us to rethink the saga's true focus. Nolan's grounded Gotham City means no fun villains, courtesy of DC Comics. Nolan's realistic approach revolutionized superhero cinema. https://www.cbr.com/best superhero comic book movies, and action films overall, aligning with his background in crime thrillers. Yet, this innovation limited access to Batman's rich villain roster. Fantastical foes like Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, or Man-Bat were deemed too outlandish for this grounded universe. Even selected villains were toned down. Scarecrow represents the farthest Nolan ventured into comic book territory. Others were stripped of flair. Ra's al Ghul becomes a cult leader, minus the immortal Lazarus Pit. Bane forgoes Venom for enhanced strength. The trilogy emphasized realistic threats, raising a provocative question. Why bother with an inherently unrealistic hero like Batman? Nolan's Batman trilogy desperately needed Robin to inject some hope. Image via Warner Brothers Animation. Spanning nearly 9 hours, the Dark Knight Trilogy offers scant optimism. Gotham's a cesspool of corruption, with a miserable Bruce as its sole defender. Critics and fans loved the intense drama, making any suggestion of adding Robin feel sacrilegious at the time. But an actual Robin, not just John Blake briefly inheriting the name, could have balanced the heaviness, adding vitality to the heavier moments. It would have provided the emotional lift the films craved. When Batman or Commissioner Gordon despair, Robin could embody unwavering faith in heroes. Website www.jamesgunn.dcu Batman Robin casting announcement Brave and the Bold. Seeing Batman as an aspirational figure. Rewatching, it's tough not to envision how Dick Grayson's acrobatic flair, Tim Drake's youthful detective skills, or Damian Wayne's edgy attitude might have energized the series. The Dark Knight Rises time jump skipped too much story, courtesy of Warner Brothers. Discovery The Dark Knight seamlessly continued from Batman Begins. https://www.batmanbegins writer David S. Goyer. Major problem, superhero movies. Ending with Gordon hinting at Joker's theatrical tendencies, which The Dark Knight dives into immediately. Its climax teased endless possibilities. Batman's self-incrimination, Two-Face's dubious end, Joker's escape. The harsh reality? The decision to leap 8 years ahead in The Dark Knight Rises remains bewildering. Fans were confused at the announcement, and now it feels like a missed chapter. It could have worked as a fourth film, and in today's landscape of sequels and trilogies, it screams for the missing middle installment. Watching now, it's frustrating to know those narrative threads were left dangling. Nolan's Batman isn't the detective. Lucius Fox is courtesy of Warner Brothers. Discovery. For a series obsessed with realism, It's ironic that the character dubbed the world's greatest detective barely investigates. Across nearly 10 hours, Nolan's Batman focuses on revenge, gadgets, and brutal fights. The true sleuth is Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox. https://www.thebatman Part 2 needs Lucius Fox, delving into financial records and complex surveillance. In The Dark Knight, Fox even deciphers Joker's phone bomb plot, typically Batman's job. Bruce delegates the intellectual heavy lifting to his tech guru, reflecting Nolan's corporate realism. This elevates Fox to a standout, a supportive ally who challenges Bruce, questioning Batman's methods. His line in The Dark Knight, "This is too much power for one man," about the surveillance tech, is the trilogy's sharpest ethical critique. Created by Christopher Nolan. https://cbr.com/tag/Christopher Nolan. First film Batman Begins. https://cbr.com/Batman Begins. Latest film The Dark Knight Rises. Cast: Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Katie Holmes, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman, Cillian Murphy, Aaron Eckhart. https://Aaron Eckhart, Michael Caine, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. What do you think? Does Nolan's realism redeem these flaws, or do they overshadow the trilogy's brilliance? Do you agree that Alfred is the true heart of the story, or is that a bridge too far? Share your views in the comments. Let's debate.